Are you ready to learn the truth about what really lay behind the success of the nomadic tribes of the Great Plains? Guess how long it took to create this perfect system for survival in the harsh conditions of the endless prairies? For decades, historians have studied the movements of indigenous peoples, trying to unravel the secret of their remarkable efficiency across vast expanses. Organizing a camp during large-scale food gathering required phenomenal discipline and precise planning of every action. Every member of the expedition clearly knew their duties, turning the camp into a true hub of productive activity. The Native Americans used unique food preservation methods that allowed them to stockpile supplies for long, harsh months. This knowledge was passed down from generation to generation, refined to perfection in the wild. Watch the video to the end, and you'll learn how the Lakota organized their daily lives during their most important seasonal migrations. What if I told you that everything you believed about the chaotic way of life of Native Americans is completely untrue? The layout of a traditional Lakota camp was a strict geometric shape, most often a perfect circle. This shape symbolized the cyclical nature of time and the equality of all participants in the great gathering on the boundless plains. The entrance to the settlement always faced east so that the first rays of the sun would illuminate the central square. Each teepee was erected according to a precisely calibrated algorithm that eliminated even the slightest confusion or disorder. Women were responsible for building the dwellings, demonstrating remarkable engineering skills when working with long wooden poles. The frame of poles was tied together with a special, strong knot, capable of withstanding the strongest gusts of the steppe wind. The structure was covered with a thick roof sewn from carefully tanned hides, providing reliable protection from the elements. Particular attention was paid to choosing a campsite, which had to meet a number of strict criteria. The camp was always set up near a source of clean, fresh water necessary for drinking and domestic needs. The availability of sufficient wood nearby ensured that the fire in every hearth could be kept burning without interruption. Elevations or natural barriers served as excellent protection against biting winds and potential unexpected threats. The camp area was regularly cleared of all debris, maintaining high sanitary standards among the thousands of residents. Designated individuals kept the area tidy, preventing clutter in passageways and public spaces. Used materials were recycled or disposed of far from residential structures. This helped avoid attracting predators and maintained harmony with the environment throughout the camp. Temporary work sheds were built next to the main dwellings, creating convenient areas for craftsmanship. Under these sheds, craftsmen sheltered from the scorching sun or sudden rain without interrupting their important work. The frames of these work areas were assembled from lightweight poles and covered with spare pieces of thick fabric. Here, tools were made, equipment was repaired, and materials were prepared for future use. In the evenings, the camp was transformed, illuminated by hundreds of flickering lights from the open entrances of the teepees. The light from the hearths created a cozy atmosphere, inviting rest after a long day of hard physical labor. The sounds of work faded away, giving way to the quiet crackling of burning logs and measured conversation. The settlement sank into a well-deserved rest to gather strength for the new achievements of the coming morning. The remarkable organization of nomadic people's daily life demonstrates their deep understanding of the laws of nature and the principles of efficiency. They were able to create an architectural masterpiece from readily available materials, perfectly suited to their way of life. This mobile camp was not just a temporary encampment, but a real city with infrastructure thought out down to the smallest detail. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree that this system of settlement planning is ingenious? Let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe to the channel. What I am about to show you must not be kept secret, for this knowledge boggles the imagination of modern strategists. Reconnaissance of the terrain was considered one of the most important and critical tasks during the Lakota's long journeys. Experienced trackers would leave camp long before sunrise, setting out to explore the boundless expanses of the Great Plains. Their main goal was to find the best routes for moving the vast settlement and to identify clusters of necessary resources. These men possessed phenomenal endurance and the ability to move unnoticed across any terrain. They could read the slightest changes in the landscape, noticing a broken branch or trampled dry grass. Their knowledge of the terrain allowed them to accurately determine distances and calculate the time needed for the main camp to make the journey. The scouts worked in complete solitude or in small groups so as not to attract unnecessary attention. The scouts' return to camp was always eagerly awaited and closely monitored by the leaders. The information gathered was conveyed during a detailed report that excluded any inaccuracies or exaggerations. Based on this data, strategic decisions were made regarding the direction of the entire mobile settlement's further movement. The accuracy of the information provided ensured the safety and well-being of thousands of people who relied on the expertise of their pathfinders. Sometimes the scouts had to overcome difficult natural obstacles such as deep canyons or raging rivers. They used tried-and-true crossing methods, constructing temporary rafts from bundles of dry reeds tied together. These lightweight structures had excellent buoyancy and allowed them to quickly reach the opposite bank. Overcoming such obstacles required physical strength, agility, and a flawless understanding of the laws of physics. Camouflage played a key role in the work of the scouts, who sought to remain invisible in open terrain. They wore clothing in natural colors that blended with the hues of sun-scorched grass and gray stone. They moved by taking advantage of the terrain's contours, avoiding open hilltops and high ground. This technique made them virtually undetectable to any outside observer along the entire route. Weather conditions often forced the scouts to adjust their plans, requiring them to demonstrate remarkable adaptability. Sudden step storms or torrential rains required the ability to quickly find reliable shelter. The pathfinders used shallow caves or dense thickets of shrubs to wait out the bad weather in relative dryness. The ability to survive in extreme conditions was an essential trait of every seeker of new paths. Thorough preparation and impeccable knowledge of nature made these people true masters of the plains. How difficult do you think it was to navigate the terrain without modern mapping tools? Read on to the next chapter to find out exactly how they transmitted this vital information over vast distances. The hidden truth that everyone keeps quiet about is that Native Americans had their own wireless telegraph. The Lakota visual communication system was a highly sophisticated method of transmitting data over many kilometers. By utilizing the terrain, they were able to establish visual contact between signal posts located far apart. This information exchange network operated at an astonishing speed, far surpassing many technologies of its time. During the day, the primary means of communication was smoke signals, whose shape and frequency could be easily controlled. Signalers built fires using specific types of wood that produced a thick, dense plume of smoke. By covering the fire with a thick cloth, they created intermittent clouds that formed complex coded messages. Each combination of short and long smoke signals had a strictly defined meaning, understood only by those in the know. To create the right kind of smoke, fresh leaves or damp grass were thrown onto the burning coals. This method allowed them to instantly change the color and density of the rising column, making it more visible against the clear sky. Signal posts were usually located at the highest points of the landscape, ensuring maximum visibility. Experienced observers in the camp constantly scanned the horizon so as not to miss a single important message. In addition to smoke, in clear weather, metal plates polished to a mirror-like shine or smooth stones were actively used. By reflecting the sun's rays, signalers created bright flashes that were visible over incredibly vast distances. A series of short and long flashes conveyed information about the approach of prey or a change in route. This method was even faster and more discreet, as the beam of light was directed strictly toward the recipient. At night, the communication system switched to the use of flaming arrows and open fires. Bright flashes of flame on hilltops served as reliable landmarks for straggling groups or returning scouts. Waving burning torches along a specific path also allowed for the transmission of simple but vital commands. Darkness did not interrupt the exchange of information, but merely changed the tools used to carry it out. Knowledge of codes and ciphers was strictly guarded and periodically changed to ensure the security of communications. This prevented the possibility of information being intercepted by rival groups operating in the same territory. Training in the art of signal transmission began at an early age and required a perfect memory and concentration. Only after many years of practice was a person allowed to work independently at a signal post. The integrated use of all these methods created a reliable information network covering hundreds of square kilometers. This invisible web of communications made it possible to coordinate the actions of a vast number of people. The camp was always aware of events taking place far beyond its borders, allowing it to respond quickly to any changes. Information superiority was the key to prosperity in the harsh conditions of nomadic life. The indigenous people's astonishing ingenuity in the field of communication deserves the deepest respect and detailed study by experts. They created the perfect management tool, requiring no wires, electricity, or complex equipment. Their methods prove that the human mind is capable of overcoming any spatial limitations using simple natural phenomena. Like this video if you were impressed by this incredible system of wireless data transmission over long distances. The secret, passed down from generation to generation, lies in the ancient masters' tool-making techniques. The efficiency of the preparatory work depended directly on the quality of the equipment prepared by the craftsmen in the temporary camp. Each item was crafted by hand using natural materials, requiring a deep understanding of their unique physical properties. The workshops were set up right under the open sky, turning the campsite into a massive manufacturing facility for producing equipment. Bow making was considered a true art, accessible only to the tribe's most experienced and respected masters. Ash or hickory wood was chosen as the base material, possessing incredible flexibility and breaking strength. The wooden blank was dried for a long time and then carefully planed until it achieved perfect proportions and balance. To increase elasticity, the bow's back was often reinforced with tendons glued using a special mixture made from boiled bones. Special attention was paid to the manufacture of knives and scrapers, which were the primary tools for processing harvested resources. The blades were carefully sharpened on smooth stones until they were razor sharp, capable of easily cutting through dense materials. Handles were carved from horn or hardwood, providing a comfortable and secure grip during heavy work. Tools were carefully stored in special sheaths to prevent accidental damage and preserve their sharpness. Ropes and straps of various thicknesses were woven from plant fibers or thin strips of treated leather. This fastening material was used everywhere, from tying the poles of dwellings to creating elements of horse harnesses. The weaving process required monotonous and painstaking labor, which was often undertaken during the evening hours of rest. The quality of the ropes directly affected the reliability of many structures, so their creation was approached with particular care. To store liquids and bulk goods, craftsmen sewed a variety of bags in airtight containers. Thick leather was used as the material, which was sewn together with strong sinew using bone needles. The seams were treated with a special fat-based compound, ensuring the finished product was completely waterproof. Such bags were remarkably durable and could serve their owners for many years of active use. Damaged equipment was repaired immediately so as not to reduce the camp's overall productivity during critical periods. Broken arrow shafts were replaced, dulled knives were resharpened, and torn straps were carefully sewn back together. This constant work to keep the equipment in perfect condition required a supply of spare parts and materials. Thrift and frugality were fundamental principles in how indigenous peoples treated their belongings. The craftsmanship of artisans was constantly refined through the exchange of knowledge within the tribe and contact with neighboring groups. New technologies and tool designs were quickly adopted if they proved their practical effectiveness in the field. This continuous process of innovation allowed the Lakota to remain one of the most technically advanced peoples in the region. Their tools represented a perfect balance between form, function, and the availability of raw materials. Every item in the camp had a specific purpose and was crafted with the utmost attention to detail. Do you think modern tools could last as long in such harsh conditions? In the next chapter, you'll learn exactly how these tools were used in the large-scale harvesting of vital resources. Large-scale harvesting required the coordinated effort of the entire settlement, turning the camp into a conveyor belt for processing natural materials. Women shouldered the bulk of this labor-intensive process, demonstrating remarkable endurance and organizational skills. Work began immediately after the raw materials were delivered, as the slightest delay could lead to the spoilage of valuable supplies. The area was divided into several zones, each of which performed a specific processing operation. One of the most critical stages was the proper cutting and preparation of the meat for long-term storage in the open air. Using sharp knives, the meat was sliced into thin, almost transparent strips to ensure rapid and even drying. These strips were carefully hung on special wooden frames placed in direct sunlight. The constant breeze from the steppe accelerated the dehydration process, preventing bacterial growth and preserving the product's nutritional value. To create the famous pemmican, the dried strips of meat were carefully ground into a fine, uniform powder. This process was carried out using heavy stone mortars and pestles, requiring significant physical effort from the women workers. The resulting powder was mixed with melted bone fat, which served as an ideal natural preservative. Dried berries were often added to the mixture to improve the taste and enrich the product with vitamins. To give the leather softness and elasticity, a special tanning solution made from natural ingredients was used. It consisted of a mixture of fat and organic elements, which was thoroughly rubbed into the clean surface. After impregnation, the hides were left for some time to allow the tanning mixture to penetrate deeply into the fiber structure. Then the softening process began, during which the leather was kneaded and rubbed against coarse ropes for a long time. The final stage of leather processing was smoking over a slow fire in special enclosed structures. The smoke penetrated the pores of the material, coloring it a beautiful golden brown hue and imparting water-repellent properties. Smoked leather did not harden after getting wet and retained its elasticity in any adverse weather conditions. It was from this material that the strongest and most durable tipis, clothing, and sturdy footwear were made. The tendons extracted during the butchering process were carefully dried and split into the finest, yet incredibly strong threads. These threads served as the primary material for sewing clothing, making bowstrings and repairing camping gear. Bones were not wasted either, quickly being turned into needles, awls, scrapers, and even intricate elements of ritual jewelry. Waste-free production was the foundation of survival, ensuring maximum practical use of every resource obtained. Horns were boiled until soft, after which they were shaped into comfortable spoons, bowls, and ladles. Hooves were used to make natural glue, which was employed in the creation of complex composite weapons and tools. Even stiff bristles found a use as brushes or decorative elements for ceremonial costumes. Every fragment found its rightful place in the complex and perfectly balanced ecosystem of the nomadic people's way of life. Thanks to this painstaking work, the temporary camp was fully self-sufficient with everything necessary for its continued long-term existence. Raw material processing techniques had been perfected over centuries of practical application in the harsh steppes. The result of this colossal labor was a vast stockpile that ensured the tribe's survival during the harshest, coldest times. The process of transforming raw materials into useful items was the unshakable foundation of the economy of this unique steppe society. An experiment that has gone awry for many modern researchers was successfully carried out by the Native Americans every fall. The task of preserving vast quantities of food without refrigerators or chemical preservatives required ingenious engineering solutions. The Lakota used the energy of the sun, wind, and smoke to create ideal conditions for dehydrating natural foods. Their preservation methods provided the tribe with supplies capable of surviving the longest and coldest winter on the plains. Wooden drying racks were erected throughout the camp, resembling a peculiar forest of tall poles and ropes. The design of these frames ensured maximum sunlight exposure and unobstructed circulation of dry air. Strips of food were hung at a strictly defined distance from one another to prevent contact and rotting. Constant monitoring of the drying process was a crucial daily duty that allowed for no slackness or inattention. The fat was rendered in large leather cauldrons, into which rounded stones heated over an open fire were gradually thrown. The water boiled and the fat rose to the surface, from where it was carefully scooped out with wooden spoons into separate containers. After cooling, it turned into a thick white mass, indispensable in the tribe's cooking and handicrafts. The rendered fat was stored in cool, shady places and could remain perfectly preserved for many long months. Creating food caches was another strategy for preserving surpluses in case of a sudden shortage of fresh food. Deep pits were dug in the ground, their walls lined with dry grass and bark to protect against soil moisture. Airtight bags of pemmican were placed in these makeshift cellars, after which the pit was carefully covered with thick sod. Such hidden food stores could save the lives of a group returning from a failed expedition or one that had lost its main supplies. Protecting the drying food from dust and insects required a constant human presence near the tall wooden frames. To scare off unwanted guests, smoke bombs made from smoldering bundles of wormwood or other fragrant steppe herbs were used. The acrid smoke created an invisible barrier, reliably protecting the future winter rations from any external destructive intrusions. This daily routine was an absolutely integral part of camp life during the period of active seasonal food preparation. Packaging the finished products was the final chord in this grand symphony of preparation for the harsh winter season. Leather bags of various sizes were filled to capacity, tightly tied, and marked with the owner's distinctive, recognizable symbols. These containers were stacked in piles, forming a kind of wall of food security inside each spacious Native American dwelling. Proper packaging ensured that destructive moisture and extreme cold would not reach the vital nutrients. Thanks to these methods, the Lakota could look to the future with complete confidence, without any fear of starvation. Do you think modern preservation methods could match the environmental sustainability of these ancient technologies? In the next chapter, you'll learn exactly what materials they used to build their unique mobile homes for the long winter. The architecture of the nomadic peoples of the Great Plains is a brilliant example of adaptive and completely eco-friendly design for spacious dwellings. The tipi was an ideal structure capable of withstanding squalls, torrential rains, and the heaviest snowfalls. The process of building such a home required specific knowledge of local aerodynamics and precise calculation of the load on the supporting elements. The frame was constructed from sturdy, smooth pine poles, the total length of which could reach 6 or 7 full meters. Preparing the poles for the future dwelling was an extremely important task, requiring careful selection of suitable, sturdy wood. The Indians sought out perfectly straight, thin trunks, which were stripped of their bark and dried to make them as light as possible. The finished long poles were carefully stored and transported with care during every move, as good wood was rare in the steppe. A proper set of sturdy poles could serve a family for decades, carefully passed down as an heirloom from the respected older generation. The tipi covering was sewn from numerous carefully tanned hides, forming a single enormous canvas of a regular, semicircular shape. Creating a single large tent could require more than a dozen thick hides, firmly sewn together with the strongest natural sinews. The seams were double-stitched to ensure complete waterproofing and high resistance to strong mechanical stress when stretched. The finished canvas was quite heavy, so hoisting it onto the frame required the coordinated efforts of several physically strong people. The upper part of the teepee had 2 adjustable flaps that served as an effective chimney and an excellent ventilation system. Using long external poles, these flaps could be rotated depending on the current direction of the steppe wind. Proper adjustment allowed thick smoke from the inner hearth to escape unimpeded, keeping the air inside the dwelling completely clean. During heavy rain, the valves closed completely, preventing any moisture from entering the spacious living area. For additional insulation during the cold season, a special lining made of warm, soft animal skins was always installed inside the teepee. It was attached to poles about a meter above the ground and hung down to the floor, forming an air cushion. This protective layer effectively retained heat from the hearth and blocked cold air seeping in from below through the cracks. Thanks to this system, a comfortable temperature was maintained inside the dwelling, even during the harshest and longest winter frosts. The outer surface of the teepee was often decorated with intricate designs reflecting the family's history or the owner's specific spiritual visions. The paints were made from natural mineral pigments mixed with animal glue for high resistance to frequent steppe precipitation. Painting was not merely decoration, but an important ceremonial ritual that transformed an ordinary tent into a sacred personal space. The vivid patterns made the camp incredibly picturesque and helped people easily find their way among hundreds of visually similar structures. Dismantling the dwelling during a move took even less time than its lengthy setup, thanks to its extremely well-thought-out design. The leather covering was quickly removed, neatly folded, and packed for transport on horses or long dog sleds. The poles were also tightly bound into compact bundles, ready for a long journey across the boundless expanses of the blooming Great Plains. The mobility of this architecture ensured the successful pursuit of migrating resources and timely escape from any serious dangers. This dwelling was fully integrated into its surroundings, leaving no destructive traces on the ground after moving on. The engineering genius of the creators of this mobile shelter continues to inspire genuine admiration among modern architects and seasoned travelers. Moving the vast Lakota camp was a massive logistical operation, perfected to the point of complete automation through centuries of constant practice. When the Council of Elders decided to change the campsite, the settlement set into motion with astonishing, absolute synchrony. Every resident knew exactly their role in the general packing process, which completely ruled out any panic or dangerous confusion. Thousands of people and enormous tons of cargo were prepared for the journey in just a few morning hours of very intense work. The primary means of transporting heavy loads were travois, special sleds attached to strong horses or dogs. The travois design consisted of two long poles crossed in the shape of the letter A and connected by sturdy crossbars. Folded teepee skins, food supplies, and the heaviest craft tools were securely loaded onto this platform. The sleds glided easily over the tall, thick steppe grass, never getting bogged down in the ground and requiring no smooth paved roads. Travel speed depended heavily on weather conditions, the terrain, and the availability of sufficient sources of fresh water. On favorable, clear days, the camp could cover dozens of kilometers, leaving behind vast expanses of steppe scorched by the blazing sun. Special methods were used when crossing rivers. Cargo was carefully ferried across on temporary rafts made of thick leather tippie covers. This allowed supplies to remain completely dry and the original marching order to be quickly restored on the opposite high bank. Short rest stops were planned in advance at locations where tired horses could find water and fresh, nutritious grass. During these stops, the cargo was not unpacked. Instead, the security of the pack knots and the overall condition of all pack animals were carefully checked. The men ate pre-prepared high-calorie pemmican, quickly regaining their strength to continue the long and extremely exhausting journey. Discipline on the march was strictly maintained, as the overall safety of the entire vast caravan depended entirely on it. In the event of a rapidly approaching severe storm, the column could quickly erect temporary shelters from available materials. Poles were quickly set upright and covered with thick hides, providing reliable protection from torrential rain or large hailstones. Navigation across the boundless steppe was carried out by experienced leaders who were well-versed in astronomy and all the features of the local hilly landscape. They plotted the route in such a way as to avoid impassable sections and areas with a complete lack of life-saving drinking water. The entire journey was mentally divided into segments between known landmarks, prominent high hills, small copses, or river bends. Such navigation ruled out any possibility of getting lost, even amid the utterly monotonous landscape of the vast Great Plains. Upon arrival at a new destination, the process of setting up camp proceeded in reverse order with the same remarkable cruising speed. The layout of the new settlement took shape instantly, and each leather teepee took its rightful place in a giant, perfectly circular formation. The nomad's logistical genius transformed the most complex task of moving thousands of people into a well-oiled daily routine. Their transportation system, based on the use of sleds and animal muscle power, was perfectly adapted to the harsh conditions of the prairies. This ability to relocate quickly ensured the tribe constant, uninterrupted access to the most essential natural resources. The efficiency of their seasonal migrations remains an absolutely unparalleled example of collective organization throughout the entire pre-industrial era. Life in a temporary camp depended not only on hunting meat, but also on a deep knowledge of the abundant local flora. The area surrounding the camp served as a rich storehouse from which the necessary materials for construction, medicine, and daily cooking were obtained. Gathering was a vital part of the daily routine, providing the tribe with essential natural vitamins and valuable raw materials. People could unerringly identify hundreds of species of useful herbs, roots, and shrubs, knowing exactly the ideal time for their best harvest. Medicinal plants were gathered by specialists with deep knowledge of traditional Native American prairie medicine. Echinacea, yarrow, and sage were carefully cut so as not to damage the root system and thoroughly dried in the shade. These herbs were used to prepare healing infusions, warming compresses, and ointments capable of quickly treating various ailments and severe inflammations. The nomad's pharmacy was literally at their feet, providing highly effective remedies to maintain the health of the entire large camp. Various types of wood were carefully sorted strictly according to their physical properties and intended practical use. Hard oak and ash were used to make sturdy tool handles, durable bows, and rigid wooden frames for saddles. Soft willow, possessing excellent flexibility, was used for weaving baskets, the backs of comfortable beds, and creating unique ritual objects. The bark of certain steppe trees was used in the complex tanning of hides, giving them the necessary elasticity and a beautiful, even brown hue. Special types of fragrant herbs were actively used for domestic needs, ensuring comfort and cleanliness inside the leather conical dwellings. Dry steppe wormwood served as an excellent air freshener and a reliable means of repelling harmful insects from food supplies. Bundles of stiff, dry grass were used as makeshift brooms and brushes for cleaning heavy clothing and sweeping earthen floors. Soft moss was gathered from damp riverbanks and used as an ideal absorbent material for various daily hygiene purposes. Plants also provided highly valuable pigments for vividly dyeing fabrics and leather and creating intricate geometric decorative patterns. The sturdy roots of the madder plant yielded a rich, deep red color, while the yellow flowers of the wild sunflower produced bright, sunny hues. These natural dyes were remarkably durable and did not fade at all, even under the scorching sun of the prairies. The dye-making process required strict adherence to precise proportions when mixing plant extracts with special fixatives. The use of strong plant fibers allowed for the creation of incredibly sturdy ropes, thick mats, and reliable fishing nets. The stems of the canyer and nettle were soaked for a long time, split and tightly twisted into long strands, capable of withstanding a very heavy load. This high-quality material was used to weave sturdy horse bridles and fastenings for heavy wooden transport sleds. The technique of intricate weaving was passed down from older women to younger ones, preserving the ancient secrets of working with plant materials over generations. It is important to note that the gathering of herbs was always carried out with deep, sincere respect for nature and strict observance of the ecological balance. The Native Americans never completely depleted the berry fields, always leaving some roots and seeds behind to allow the population to fully recover. This principle of sustainable resource use ensured that the bountiful land would continue to sustain them for many years to come. Harmony with the environment was not merely a philosophical concept, but the key to the physical survival of the entire vast nation. Deep botanical knowledge transformed the wild prairie into a very hospitable home, full of readily available resources and useful materials. Various plants provided the nomads with everything they needed, from potent medicines and abundant food to durable dyes and building materials. The ability to extract maximum benefit from the flora of the Great Plains made their culture unique, strong, and completely self-sufficient. This incredible body of knowledge represents a priceless legacy, brilliantly demonstrating the intelligent human's perfect adaptation to the harsh natural environment. As the sun slowly sank below the horizon, the camp's work rhythm gradually gave way to a time of social interaction and well-deserved rest. The sounds of hard, exhausting labor faded, giving way to the crackling of bright campfires and quiet, heartfelt conversations near each tipi. This was the time when weary people gathered together to discuss the day that had passed and to strengthen their close kinship bonds. The evening atmosphere in the settlement was filled with a pleasant calm and a sense of duty fully fulfilled after many hours of physical exertion. In the center of the vast camp, the main bonfire was lit, around which the wise council of elders and the most respected leaders gathered. This council served as the highest governing body, making all key strategic decisions regarding the life of the mobile, close-knit community. Here, the reports of returning scouts were discussed, the volume of gathered resources was assessed, and further safe routes of movement were planned. The deep wisdom and vast life experience of the older generation served as a reliable compass in taking any important strategic steps. Planning the next workday required a thorough analysis of many factors, from upcoming weather conditions to the state of drinking water supplies. Careful decisions were made regarding which groups would set out to search for new materials and who would remain at the camp to complete important tasks already underway. Roles were assigned based on each person's individual physical abilities to ensure maximum efficiency in the arduous collective labor. This precise coordination of actions completely eliminated any downtime and guaranteed the smooth, productive operation of the entire vast system. Evening was also an excellent time for repairing small equipment and leisurely preparing work tools for the new workday ahead. By the uneven light of the hearth, the women continued to sew together pieces of leather or weave sturdy baskets from the flexible willow twigs they had gathered. The men carefully straightened arrow shafts, sharpened flint knife blades, and checked the overall reliability of the horse harnesses. This monotonous but necessary work was accompanied by quiet, friendly conversations and the passing down of professional secrets to young, novice craftsmen. An important part of the evening's leisure time was the continuous oral transmission of the tribe's long history and ancient traditions through captivating stories and legends. The elders willingly shared memories of bygone eras, teaching the young people gathered around the rules of conduct and the laws of survival on the prairies. These stories not only entertained the listeners, but also formed a unified cultural code that united scattered families into a strong nation. The oral tradition completely replaced writing for the nomads, reliably preserving their rich heritage in the memory of each new generation. To ensure the camp's safety during the night, special patrols were assigned from among the most alert and experienced warriors. They took up hidden positions on high ground around the camp, listening intently to the sounds of the sleeping night step. A system of silent code signals allowed them to instantly warn the sleeping settlement of the rapid approach of any potential danger. Thanks to their incredible vigilance, the rest of the inhabitants could rest in complete peace, restoring their spent strength before the next day. Smoke from the numerous burning hearths rose into the starry sky, creating an invisible warm dome over the vast, sleeping Indian camp. This smoke reliably kept night insects at bay and retained heat inside the teepee when the outside temperature dropped sharply. The upper ventilation valves worked flawlessly, ensuring a constant, steady flow of fresh air for a comfortable and healthy sleep. The settlement sank into deep silence, broken only by the cries of night birds and the quiet neighing of tethered horses. At the crack of dawn, the camp awoke just as organized as it had fallen asleep, fully prepared to carry out the plans made the night before. Those on duty quickly stoked the smoldering embers, building new hot fires to prepare a quick and very nutritious breakfast. The women went to the river for fresh, cool water, while the men checked on the horses and prepared the camping gear. The new day began with a crystal-clear understanding of the tasks set the previous evening at the Council of Respected Elders. This strict, cyclical routine, consisting of hard labor by day and careful planning by night, was the foundation of the Lakota's prosperity. Their perilous lives were subject to the laws of nature, but thanks to iron discipline, they were able to bend those laws to their will. The camp functioned flawlessly as a single powerful organism, where every cell worked for the sake of collective survival and well-being. It was this incredible cohesion that made their unique culture so remarkably resilient in the harsh conditions of the nomadic era. As we conclude this detailed account of a single day in the life of this settlement, we see an extremely complex and perfectly balanced social structure. Their society was firmly grounded in mutual support, deep respect for nature, and the continuous, honest labor of every member of the tribe. These people did not merely survive on the Great Plains, they created their own unique and completely self-sufficient civilization there. Studying their incredible way of life opens our eyes to a completely different, yet no less ingenious, path of human development. What other aspects of the life and daily routines of North America's indigenous peoples do you think conceal such amazing engineering and social solutions? Suggest topics in the comments for future videos that you'd like to see on our channel, so we can tell you more about these unique cultures. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new exciting historical investigations and deep dives into the past.